ya omo de chairman san say obi ehun say me aggressor so what I say ba nyankopon am som no muntie say mo de yi na ya mo fa nko
Ebusianfo aha Ghana Tv3 GH mesro like, comment, subscribe with a notification so that anytime videos of this nature are uploaded you'll be notified.
So please can you tell us your version of what happened at TV3 some few days ago?
Oh, TV3 assembly see na arehosem and they say omo frame say yemra na yemedi budget ho nkomo. Na budget na ye call ya ye kudi ho nkomo no. And the call ye say ye many finance minister. The current finance minister na omu no interview nti ono omu tena ho che kama the finance minister wie ni nkomodi no na Alfred the host no efre me ne Professor Bokpin say yemra me kan finance minister ho na ni nkomo because Professor Bokpin economist me so me economist and so fi say nkomo na aba na ye betimi ni finance minister edi ni ampa so any finance minister call ye no ye di nkomo no fe so Mame mo yewura atofo siamba so obuade pa finance minister obuade pa ye di nkomo no kama ya yewura Bokpin ka asem o ka asem bia me ne nya adwe na maka me so one me nya adwa no aka ne nyina yesre finance minister ka asem me ne nya adwa na maka onso de me ka one me nya adwa no onso aka ne nyina yesre nti hwa it was a lively program we had na akoye say ye nyina no ye dey educate Ghanaians ya nka na efe pa na finance minister etia ni nechi kaka na so sako baby to sorry ko e na che say ye mani pa fofo be ka ho nti no na yewura host no e ya afedo kansi o kan say yewura Kofi Bento yewura professor sorry when you professor I mean cause professor yewura Bokpin e by and yewura Professor Gyampo yeah yewura Professor Gyampo and na ode Jones MP honorable Nelson Domfeh Amako ene Martin Pebu odi omu nyina ye dey e baaye odi sa ankofo no ba mu no mu ba mu no ene koye atimidi na chese akwese finance minister no nya abotre ne me edi nkomo no wo abotre kwa so na omu ba mu na omu support to NDs omu kasama NDs Professor Gyampo ene yewura honorable Nelson ne yewura Martin Pebu de na akwese they were not charitable to me but my main case yewura Martin Pebu one yewura Nelson honorable Nelson Domfeh Amako say mitimi bodini ya they were gentle in fact omuni me nya adwen there but na deso e ma me kra me send data na me de kasa no me send data ni bi e de ma me send data ni bi de ma yewura Nelson na nige so eno na Professor Gyampo be so ma ono de oye na adwen say or attack me personality na nya me de and I'm me be mu be catch and say they all can win prof you are not being fair to me jade o ye no na address the makan they me kind me say 1 + 1 = 2 and you better say as an academic you are also because George Oboa 1 + 1 = 3 na ye debate na omo sua hu na o attack me personality me nye I'm not talking I'm not an academic and a whole lot it's not nice and no na ye me ya na ho na ye this ankomo no Professor Gyampo nyame a me som no eni o sorry free baby a ono wote etra yewura Kofi Bento etra yewura Bokpin say one me ba be satam na camera na me nko na camera na dey eda me so to sorry ya onam ho a dey oba no Professor Bokpin and the block and nyesa anka cheze nko beto ahye me so omu pata wie ya me tiesi abonten no anya anto anhye me so wie me tiesi abonten no sa ka asem bi ya me wiase me nya bi da na me pese asam no e wo lawyer fo nti me pese me ka ho asem wo ka asem ma na hye me pantu be ya unse tam anka me ko no me sa damani eno na me damani no na Professor Bokpin mo pese me damani nti ho ye aprapre kakra e ho na TV3 twa ya omo de chairman san say obi ehun se me aggressor so what I say ba nyankopon am som no muntie se mo de yi na ya mo fa nko nyame am som no ya wo wosoro enim say Professor Gyampo mom ne free ne end say oba be attack me and I have put this challenge on my Facebook say I want TV3 to come out to deny say sad nancy and I say Gyampo na kra mra me kan say nya no kre so sorry ba so one me ba be ko says the Gyampo am sorry am free ne ho because who do one aka they oba kan tie me wi ya ma me kwasa me respond there and that was a make us na omu chaso because tama make us no sorry ye e tune say come so one me ba be ko
say see they with you
no me pese me kan ho komo asema so de me kokko to be board me be ko bia me so mo dance for ne ma o ye no kra no your friend physical assault the oye no say kase ye ka ho asama so ati ase enti COC me na kase ni nyina wo offend the lawyer for some say me pese TV3 ebo ayi ni nyina ba public no ma anya me gyina ha akase nyankopon a me nkokura no ene me dance ni sa dan say na me kasa no ene tu Gyampo sa akom no sorry say wona me ba be kom as a gentleman you don't fight.
Budget 2026 budget compensation. Yeah, so where I highlighted it's pink. You realize that office of the president, and this is also premised on the fact that this is a government that promised that they were going to give us a mosquito-like what? Government. That is, it is very lean to the extent that little of the taxpayers' money will be spent on paying what? Government workers' salaries, as far as the presidency and other agencies are concerned. Now, when you take a look at Appendix 4A of the 2026 budget, you realize that compensation, which was 360 million in the 2025 budget, has now moved to what? 540 million Ghana cedis. And this is supposed to be a lean government. This is supposed to be a government that came to save the taxpayer. So you see, this is a government that says something, one thing, at the other hand, and then goes to the other side and practice a different thing altogether. If this is not scam, I don't know what scam is. So based on these facts, we can confidently say that this budget does not have credibility. This budget indeed lacks.
So, IERPP, which is a policy think tank, this morning convened and met the press to also give an analysis of the budget statement that was presented by the Honorable Minister, Dr. Atofo, to Parliament. Now, you recall that after the budget statement, the Honorable Minister came out to tell us that the abolishment of taxes like e-levy, they don't have any impact on government revenue. Now, this morning, per the analysis that we did, we showed that this statement is misleading based on the data that the minister himself presented in the budget. Now, why do I say this? Now, if you go to the budget statement itself, you realize that the minister said that within the first 3 quarters, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 of 2025, government actually expected a revenue of about 164 billion Ghana cedis. But in actual sense, the government was only able to raise about 152 billion or so. Or so thereabout. Yes. So that it actually tells you that the difference is, I think, about equivalent of about 4.1% of GDP also. So that in itself tells you that with regards to the first 3 quarters of the year, the government couldn't actually achieve its revenue targets. And if clearly you couldn't achieve your revenue targets, then it means that obviously certain components that could have contributed to your revenue were having difficulties. And one of the challenges we saw was that the government said they had to abolish e-levy, which is very easy to what? To collect. Once you send money, it goes direct to authorities, to fiscal authorities. So clearly, per this data, it tells you that, yes, there was revenue mobilization challenges as far as the budget is concerned. Then I also highlighted the point that this is irrespective of the fact that the government introduced increase growth and sustainability levy from 1% to 3% on the mining sector, on their gross capital formation. The government at the same time introduced about some 15% tax on non-life insurance. It also introduced a 1 Ghana cedi per litre on fuel. All these taxes, irrespective of all these taxes that the government introduced, it still couldn't meet its revenue mobilization. That should tell you clearly that something like e-levy and most importantly, the COVID-19 health levy that the government is going to remove is actually going to have an impactful effect on what? On our revenues. And I also presented that if you look at the 2024 budget outcomes, cumulatively these 2 taxes, e-levy and COVID-19 health levy, gave us about 4.83 billion Ghana cedis. Now, if you take this difference of about 7.7 billion in just the first 3 quarters, and you plug these 4.83 billion, we are left with about 2.something billion, which is telling that these 2 taxes plays a major role in government's revenue mobilization plan. And for that matter, the onus lies on the Honorable Minister to come out as soon as possible to tell us the measures that he is going to put in place to ensure that these loopholes does not reoccur going into 2026.
finance minister and some more kind no echinye bi ani ho ene say economy no egusu a as a general baby a eyeyi no doubt about that obi no obetimi ade ho echinye Ghanaian economy since 1957 to date no and share that more no ho odin bia ye more bra nti na me amigyan o ma kira dey all my life over 30 years and am kira dey me 30 years mu about 15 years me dey kira dey o tertiary institutions across Ghana my child they were universities be private ones and then the government ones. Now my child they were UPS and San actually 2014 major akolego. Now me just say my de children nyina mu no ne nipa be ba training o mu sometime when I'm 10 years now I could share obi a children na there. Usia na hinifa na oye adwuma na chese na ade che na o children no wantimi anya ho adwuma anye. Economy na be jobless economy. Your growth has always been jobless. We are not able to create jobs. The entity create jobs no. The entity create jobs ni nyina say. Yes sorry ade ebedi de ebedware de ebe no no. Ye dwane kopɛ dollar, ye de akwa amano ne akokra e de aba. Mpra here ugusu a wudi di amanfo a create no. You are creating jobs for them. Say na de ebedi de ebedware de be fra no ye kokra free amano ne a. Let us say ye create adwuma ma amano ne for. Enu ti na adwuma entimi ni o man mu. Ti abai bi a we serious person oboa o man bia no. Onko Bank of Ghana nko $4 metumum emasi di nya ahode. Yes, si di nya ahode no. Okwasem ni say aboa ama ene petrol bo no akofom. No doubt about that. E won say amansan dwaso no petrol no bo no akofom. E no ka ho bi petrol ne ma miensa ne ma petrol bo no. E be cost na say be gina ne ma miensa. Taxes about the atoso na wo ye free so. Amansan dwaso say petrol no bo no cost na akofom. And a dollar na ho dem. So far Ghana dollar na enya ho dem because at the beginning of the year about we be ba no na $1 14 cedis 70 pesos. It is a net no am check here na 10 cedis 97 I think 99 pesos almost 11 cedis. Se na da ho and check and cedi no e bon ho mo na ya etinye bia ni sa de no ntimi nyi wo etinye na mom insurance so bon na wo ho ade bia obe bia na wo insurance so papa e wo insurance so bon na e bo ama petrol no bo ayefo no e sa ma import duties so yefo na ma ye krefra ma no ne no e be duru tama ye ya ne bo ne yefo na no no nkeye e be ma ye ne aye die no nke ho beto ye unfortunately o mo kra ne ma ba no o mo ntete ne ma so ntentem sa nti akwai se sa de ma we esi no emum importers na o mu geni pa timamufo no uno mu kasa o be ka kiro se ye nhye dan tete ne ma so se de nka dollar no si ye nka se nka ye de yehu ti sa bai ekoso se ye dollar na kakra na ye nya no o tu aguma ene na o ye mistake e de ba ne se ebe affect ye internal revenue mobilization quite fast way gigi yetro no ana Nigeria fast nya
they were nominated and voted for to go to parliament. So crossing that barrier, getting into parliament, this is not how do I put it? It's not just going there to sit there. You are representing your people. You are communicating on behalf of your people because the millions of people that you represent cannot come and speak at the same time. So they vote for you to go and speak for them. So we are not expecting you to come and demonstrate your, in quotes, ignorance and, in other words, stupidity in parliament. Fine, if you know you cannot speak English or you cannot express yourself well, just get somebody to help you. That is one. The other thing too is that if you're not a subject matter expert, okay, somebody mentioned that in the budget.
Are you using earpiece?
No.
Okay, we are getting some feedback.
Okay. Somebody mentioned that in the budget, it's not only there are various components of the budget that you can speak for. So if you're not comfortable with the finance aspect of it, fine, you don't talk about it. You can talk about other areas. But for someone to just stand up in parliament, like somebody said, the whole world is watching, and show your ignorance, for me, I think is gross, you know. So coming as a devil advocate, I also say that in parliament, for example, in Bangladesh, is it Pakistan or Bangladesh, one of the countries, they allow them to speak in various languages in parliament. You can check. And also in Canada, in parliament, you can speak English, you can speak French, and it's interpreted. Okay, so if we think that it's a challenge in parliament, I don't know how many of such instances have happened in parliament, but if we think it's a challenge, then obviously we should give people opportunity to speak in the language that they are comfortable with so that it could be interpreted. Now, sidetracking from here, a research was done in Nigeria on language and economic growth, and they realized that the pidgin language has actually been a factor in increasing business growth in Nigeria. So language in Nigeria, especially pidgin English, was a major or a dominant factor in the model that was developed in economic growth. So do you also want to look at that aspect? Because obviously there have been instances that people who have not been to school at all have been nominated and voted for to go to parliament. In that instance, do they just go and sit down quietly, or there's a means for them to be able to communicate whatever message that they have from their constituency? Having said that, if you are nominating someone on the floor to speak, obviously you have to be confident that the person will be able to articulate whatever message that they want to bring out, rather than demonstrating their ignorance. So that's the point that I really want to make. But yeah, it's not acceptable that, I think some people were trying to economize their words, but then it's not acceptable. If you cannot communicate, you have no business being on the floor. Or you can, it could be a disability. So you tell them that I have a disability in communicating or articulating my facts. So if there could be other ways for me to express my views, I think that could help now and also future parliament. Thank you very much.